hear me? 7 o'clock, there we go, sorry, we're here. Gardner, Kansas. Call the meeting to order. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, good evening and welcome, everyone. It's good to see a busy, packed house tonight. Is there something on the agenda tonight? A few things. Okay, well, we'll get started here. We have the applications for the city council will be in new business, but we shouldn't take too long to get to that point. So thank you for being here. We appreciate it. But we'll move forward. No presentations, no public hearings. So this time we'll move into public comments. And members of the public are welcome to use this time to make comments about city matters on items not on the agenda or not part of the public hearing. If you wish to come forward, please limit your comments to 5 minutes or less. There is a clock to your left. There's a 5-minute time clock, no profanity, no personal attacks. With that being said, please come forward, state your name and address for the record. The podium is now open. All right, no one coming forward. We'll move to consent agenda. Is there an item on the consent agenda? Like to remove? Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? So moved.
Second.
Motion Shoot, second Deaton. We approve the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? Abstain? Consent agenda passes. Nothing on planning and zoning consent. Moving right to committee recommendations. Committee recommendation number 1, consider adopting an ordinance approving a revised preliminary development plan for property zoned ACP-2 Activity Center Plan General Business District. Mr. Coffey.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. As mentioned, this is a consideration for adopting an ordinance to approve a revised preliminary development plan. So the base zoning will remain the same, the ACP2, which is our activity center zoning. In this area, this is the Plaza South area. It's lot 7 of Plaza South, approximately 3.8 acres of land. The reason this is before you as a revised preliminary plan is that there was a significant change proposed for the use of this lot. It was previously considered or approved through the previous preliminary development plan as a senior independent living facility of about 136 units, a 4-story building and structure as part of that proposal. What is being proposed through this process tonight, the revision, is a climate-controlled 2-story self-storage building, about 107,000 square feet, with a retail commercial building of about 8,400 square feet. So it's quite the change actually for that specific lot. Everything is in the packet as far as the site details and the layouts there. The Planning Commission considered this change at its meeting on July 25th. It held a public hearing to which there were no public comments at that point in time. There were questions asked by the planning commissioners, primarily involving kind of the bulk of the building and the size of the building for the parcel itself, and related to those items. The planning commission did recommend approval, though, with 9 conditions. So those conditions are listed before you, both in the planning commission recommendation on your cover memo and also in the proposed ordinance if you choose to adopt that ordinance. With that in mind, I will stop there and ask if you have any questions. The applicant does have people here tonight, so if there's specific questions for the applicant, they're here to respond to that.
Thank you, Dave. Is there any public comment on this item? Okay. No public comment. Council, questions? Comments?
I only had one, actually a couple, and this is really more for the applicant because I didn't know what prompted this change or what the mix on the storage versus the retail was. So I just wanted to get those questions addressed if that's possible.
Would it be possible to get I have a presentation.
Sure.
And
Certainly.
I can just go right to the point on those items. My name's Judd Clausen. I'm with Phelps Engineering, 1270 North Winchester, Olathe, Kansas. We're the civil engineers and land surveyors for the project. And we could maybe get that pulled up. Okay, thank you. Okay, so can you see the screen okay?
Yep.
Yes.
Obviously, this is the Plaza South. The property is outlined there. This was developed a few years ago by my client, Tom Van Kiersblick. They'd owned the property. Since then, we've got some activity on those front pad sites and such. Basically, I'm going to kind of skip through all the text here, but that's the site. It would change to this storage site here with an inline retail kind of in the southern part of the site and parking lot. Here's kind of a blow up of that. That building is 107,000 square feet, 2 stories. The original building that was the senior living was a 4-story. So if it kind of cuts down on the height there. But more importantly, we felt like it really fit in a lot better into the commercial retail area. These are some artist renderings of the building. With me tonight is Jonathan Buchanan with Oakview Capital Partners. They would be actually the developers of this the storage project. One thing to note too, it's really designed for safety and customers in mind, such that you feel comfortable going there and not have to worry about really anything. The unloading is indoors, so it's not like the old 1970s style type of storage at all. This is what you see in the city in very commercial type areas. So we feel it's a really great improvement to the commercial part of this project.
And the retail portion, is that directly related to the storage?
It is not, so it's independent. My client, Tom, would still own and develop that.
Okay.
So that might be, some inline retail. It might be a hair salon there, an insurance agent, something like that. Somebody who is looking for some space out in this commercial center.
Okay. And then, is this a just for curiosity's sake? Are these drive-up units? Are they, or are you gonna have to do there's elevators and
right.
things
So
like that,
how this works, and here's the site plan right here. On the southeast corner of the building, you'll see a small parking lot. The very southeast corner of the building is the office where you go in and take care of paying the bills or whatever you need there.
Sure.
And then there's 2 kind of dashed areas within the gray part of the southern part of the building. That's the back-in area where a truck would pull up and you would back in undercover.
Okay, that's
in
what
those locations. Yeah. So nothing's going on in the parking lot or the fire lane out front.
Okay, great. Thank you for those questions. Or answering those questions. I just had I was curious about those items.
Yeah,
Just
and
satisfied.
this exhibit here kind of shows what's already gone on out there. We're really having a lot of success with the car wash. It's under construction now, and the banking facility that's there. And we've been recently, the southwest corner was sold, and that'll be developing as a fast food restaurant. The church obviously has purchased their property. So, with this, it really helps us, move forward and continuing the development and the progress that we've made out there in the last couple of years.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for that detail.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Any other questions or comments?
Okay.
Okay, do we hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion Shoot, second Deaton, that we accept the recommendation of the Planning Commission and adopt ordinance number 2740, an ordinance changing the zoning classification for districts of certain lands located in the city of Gardner, Kansas, under the authority granted by Title 17 of the Municipal Code of the city of Gardner, Kansas. City Clerk.
Councilmember Shute,
Yes.
Councilmember Baldwin,
Yes.
Councilmember Deaton, yes. Councilmember Roberts,
yes,
Mayor Winters,
Yes. Ordinance number 2740 passes.
Before you introduce the next item, I'll just indicate that the final development plan application has come in for this, so it'll be going through Planning Commission relatively soon, and will be handled by the Planning Commission. As you know, final development plans don't come forward to you all for acceptance. So I believe, let me double check that. I was thinking maybe we did it as a condition. We may have done a condition here where you will see this as, yes, you will see this one, which is the unusual part. Typically, the Planning Commission handles final development plans, but because of the nature of this development, we felt it was important for you all to see that final development plan when it comes forward. We'll be sensitive to a number of things like pedestrian connections and landscaping and architectural elements because it's in that ACP zoning district. So
you're up again. Committee recommendation, item number 2, consider adopting ordinance approving, excuse me, a rezoning in an associated preliminary development plan, preliminary plot for potential 2-family residential development.
The proposal tonight before you is to rezone property that is currently zoned CO and C2, which is 2 of our commercial districts, the C2 being general commercial, CO being commercial office area. It's approximately 28.86 acres on the northeast corner of White and 167th Street. So it's the property that's between White Drive and the Justice Center, if you will, in that area right now. It's currently vacant. The request is to rezone this to RP4, which is a planned zoning district, and as noted in the staff report, this is for duplex development. So there's 106 duplexes, 212 units proposed. Each of these units will have either 2, 3, or 4 bedrooms. Kind of unusual to see duplexes with 3 and 4 bedrooms, but for this development, the applicant is proposing a small percentage of 3 and 4 bedroom units within the overall development. So a little bit different housing in that sense than what we would typically see here. The Planning Commission did hold their public hearing at their last meeting in July, on July 25th. No one spoke at the public hearing in regard to this proposal, either for or against it. The applicant is here tonight. 2 items that we're being sensitive to, obviously traffic. We know the 167th Street corridor is seeing development from Moonlight all the way west out towards Symphony Farms, and so there is a sensitivity to traffic, and especially with the University Park development being across White Drive from here. So we've been working with both consultant teams to try to address those traffic issues through their traffic studies and the improvements that they'll have to make. A second item that has been of importance here has been stormwater. We have stormwater flow that's coming out of the Genesis Farms area as well from the south that drains through this property. So it's had to look at a unique situation where we allow for some pass-through drainage as well as detain the drainage that we need to coming off of this development. So the applicant team has worked real well with us on trying to address the stormwater issue. I think by the time we get to the final development plan, we should have that stormwater issue underhand by then. With that, I stand ready for any questions. You have a recommendation from the Planning Commission to approve the preliminary development plan that's associated with this zoning application, as well as the preliminary plat with 3 conditions that are listed there for you. So,
Thank you, Dave. Do we have any public comment on committee recommendation number 2? Council, questions?
My biggest concern is just traffic in that area, and I know we're doing studies. What's the timeline of getting something fixed, especially that, what I'm most familiar with is the 167th and White Drive intersection. That's not a great intersection now, and I don't want all these duplexes to go in and then we start making
Correct.
changes to the roads.
So with the 2 developments going on between University Park and this development, that intersection, there's a variety of safety improvements that have been recommended, so the developer will be responsible in making those safety improvements as part of their development. So they should be coming online with the developments. We are being very sensitive. Kellen and I are working behind the scenes, very sensitive to coordinating those between the 2 developers and also the projects that the city is hoping to plan through 167th Street. As you know, we just did the mill and overlay project. I believe we're moving forward now with the process of getting somebody for design, and I don't know, Kellen, if you want to talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, we've selected a design consultant to do the full design on that mile of 167th there, as well as the preliminary engineering study for the remainder of the 167th corridor. So we're right now just negotiating the final contract on that.
Yeah.
And they will be coordinating that design piece along with the design work that goes into the safety improvements.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is going to be a coordination effort with 2 development teams plus the city, because we don't want to be putting in safety improvements that we tear out. Obviously, there will be some things that may have to be changed once the final design is made, because you got to take into consideration a greater level of traffic through the area. So there is a lot of discussion about traffic up there right now.
Okay.
You kind of stole my thunder a little bit, Casey, but I'll just add one last thing, and that is, are we going to get warrants for these intersections? I'm talking about White Drive and 167th and Moonlight, because both of those, I know 167th Moonlight's already starting to push traffic flow, you know, in that area. So, would we be looking potentially signalization at least at 167th and Moonlight?
That will be certainly looked at in the final design of that
Mhm.
corridor.
Yeah, that's what I gathered, but I want to make sure that's still on the radar. All right, thank you. And of course, pedestrian access, sidewalks.
Yeah, and they are going to continue the sidewalk along 167th Street on the north side. Both University Park will have an extension as well as this development. So as we're looking at that, we are gonna get that done as part of the development projects. We're now trying to push that to the very edge of the right-of-way so that any design work on the roadway, we should have sufficient space between that and the trail. It'll actually be a 10-foot wide trail in that area, continuing the wide sidewalk and trail that's in front of the church there at Moonlight and 167. So the idea is to pull that all the way across, and eventually that'll help us to connect to the Greenway just to the south and west of there. So
Exactly. I think that's a key.
we're moving forward with that. The difficult part on 167th in this area is just we've got utility locations, we got this drainage aspect, and then the design of 167th Street. So a lot of things going on in very small, tight spaces, and we're working towards it. There are solutions to it, but a lot of it involves, I hate to say it, engineers. So, you know, we gotta wait for
Those
that.
blasted
I know.
engineers.
I was doing pretty well till that was mentioned, so, anyway.
All right. Thanks, Dave.
Mhm.
Any further questions? Is there a motion for committee recommendation number 2?
So moved.
Second.
Motion Deaton, second Baldwin. We accept the recommendation of the Planning Commission and adopt ordinance number 2741, an ordinance changing the zoning classification or districts of certain lands located in the city of Gardner, Kansas, under the authority granted by Title 17 of the Municipal Code of the city of Gardner, Kansas. City Clerk.
Councilmember Baldwin,
Yes.
Councilmember Deaton,
Yes.
Councilmember Roberts,
Yes.
Councilmember Shute,
Yes.
Mayor Winters,
Yes. Ordinance number 2741 passes. All right, no old business. So we will go to new business. New business item number 1 is consider applicants for city council. And just to kind of summarize how we got to this point, Councilman Van Potter resigned. It's been, I believe, 3 weeks ago now. And following that resignation and letter, vacancy was advertised in print and social media. And with an application deadline of August 8th, 2022, there were 8 qualified electors that responded. And since that point, 2 have withdrawn their applications. And then tonight, then, we will be interviewing the 6 remaining applicants. And the process will be discussion on this.
We can have discussion if
Okay.
you wish.
The process is applicants are interviewed in alphabetical order by last name. The applicant will provide a 2-minute opening statement. The governing body will ask each applicant a standard set of questions, and they'll have 2 minutes to respond to each question. 1 or 2 follow-up questions from the council will be allowed, and then the applicant will provide a 1-minute closing statement. At the end of all of these, we will total our scores. We will rank them 1 through 6. The 3 lowest scores will move on to a final decision, and then we will vote again on those final 3, or those top 3. If there is a majority decision of first choice, we will move directly to that choice after the first round. So, that being said, is there any discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
So last time, we went through and everything you just said we would still be doing, but we did the 2-minute opening statement, the questions, and the closing statement, all as a package. And then we did it for the next person, and the next person. To me, since we're trying to be transparent, fair, and equitable, you wouldn't have them do everything at once, because now the second person or 5th person gets to hear everything the first person said. So I think we should do, the applicant can do a 2-minute opening statement. You still start in the order that is presented, but everybody does their opening statement. Then we move to number 2, and we get the standard set of questions. be the last person. Number 2 in the queue starts the next one, and so on.
All right, or there's another possibility here. We could sequester the other candidates.
That's not allowed,
That is not allowed. Why not?
because then we would no longer be having an open meeting. We would be denying those people access to a public open meeting. That's,
We discussed that one.
Oh, you're right. We talked about that. So we can't sequester.
I personally think we follow, I mean, the last 2 appointments, we followed what we've done. I think it's last minute to change it up, whether it's fair or not. The only way I would consider it is if all 6 candidates agreed to what the change was.
Of course. That, I don't think that was a,
I agree with Mark, and I think that's how we used to do it way back when, pre-COVID. But I think in this situation, getting people up and down so much is a lot, and we've already explained to them what the process is gonna be, so to change it last minute, then I would say in the future though, maybe we should look at this and
Yes.
change it before we have another opening.
I disagree that we told anybody that you'd have to do 1, 2, 3, 4 in a row.
Didn't this go out to everybody?
Yes, but where does it say in there that you have to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the next person goes? That's my point. Plus, why would somebody be doing their closing statement before somebody else does an opening statement? It just seems.
My choice would leave it as we did the last 2. At this moment, since it's right before we're gonna do the process.
Steve, any thoughts?
my thoughts are that this provides an unfair situation for the first person and it provides an unfair situation for the last person. And I think we brought that up the last time we had this set of interviews, is that the person, it biases the process.
It may, but then we should have seek to change the process 3 weeks ago, not at 7:15 the night of the process, or whatever time it is.
That would be my argument. We brought it up last time, and this isn't a documented piece of the process. So we should codify it, but the fact that it's not means that it's up to our discretion right now. And in the essence of trying to be more equitable, we should work towards that rather than following something we did in the past that was less.
City Attorney, do you have any comment on this?
No, I'm just looking at the governing body rules and procedure now. It really, and I am at page 7. I really don't see that it specifies. All it says is, and this is at the bottom. I'm sorry, page 6. It's page 7. I can't call. All it says is the applicants will then be invited to the next regularly scheduled city council meeting for an interview with the governing body. The governing body will interview the applicants at the city council meeting and vote to appoint one of the applicants to fill the next position. The governing body may conduct second interviews or start the appointment process over, et cetera. So it's, I mean, it's, other than saying you're gonna conduct interviews, it really doesn't provide any more detail than that. So with that, I think you probably have some broad discretion.
Would there be a concern amongst the folks who are interviewing for counsel to rotate the questioning through each individual on a rotating basis so that everybody gets a chance to answer first, second, third, and fourth, fifth, and sixth? You know, is there a problem with that amongst the members of the group that's interviewing? So give everybody a chance to do an opening statement, give everybody a chance to answer question 1, give everybody a chance to answer question 2. We rotate through the names. And I think that to a great extent would be much more equitable. I think we can keep track.
Casey, what?
I'm okay with whatever. I'm okay with the rotating around. I do think it's more fair. I just think it's kind of a
It's a
throw
little more
it out.
cumbersome, but I've been in favor of something like this for a while.
And I do know that's how we used to set up a long table, but then with COVID, they decided to not have people stand that close, so.
City Clerk, is that acceptable?
It's really good.
We'll start with the group in alphabetical order, and then we'll just rotate through
Right,
from.
back rotate.
We'll rotate from the bottom up then.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll just.
So the first one will be last.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Tractor.
Okay.
And I'm okay with that, so, unless there's any objection, that's how we'll proceed. Okay? All right, so we will start with Mr. David Arnold, if you would like to give your 2-minute opening statement.
So before I get started, I just have a simple question. I was here in December for the same thing. Do we want to go through this same thing, or could we just stray away, ask questions, and go that route?
We've gotta go through the process.
So we gotta go through the same thing, huh?
Yes.
All right. Well, pretty much not much has changed since December. My name is David Arnold. My wife and I moved here 2012. We didn't really have any intentions on leaving. We didn't have an intention on staying, but yet here we are. We now have 2 kids here, one of which is enrolled in Sunflower. The other one is about 1.5 years, and so eventually he'll be getting into that school system as well. Bought our second house here, so we've got our footprint here. We're here to stay. Open up small business as well, so that kind of ties me to being here as well. It's a little bit harder to just uproot and leave when you've got a lot of commitments here in town. Other than that, the business is kind of a evening, afternoon type thing. In the weekends and whatnot, I work full time up in Kansas City, and then so I commute back and forth. But I stay active. Just got into coaching soccer with the kids, so I'll keep my opinions to myself. It's great fun at times. But yeah, really that's me. I've been here for a while. I'm gonna be here for a while. So that's what I got for you.
Thank you, David.
Thanks, David.
Senator Noakes.
I'm kind of short here. I might have to tiptoe. I'm Alexandra Noakes. Council members, thank you for your time this evening. Taking time out of your busy schedules to hear why I believe I can help the city by serving on the city council. I've lived in Gardner for over 20 years. I began my career working in technology at a publishing company in Overland Park, and then I moved on to work at one of the largest financial institutions in the KC metro area, leading teams and working in their technology departments. After working for others, I caught the entrepreneurial spirit and decided that I was going to open my own business, and as well as focusing my time on running a business that my husband Jason and I owned here in Gardner for 12 years at Moonlight Plaza. I continue to be impressed with the thriving business community in Gardner, and I get very excited seeing new things that are coming down the pike. We've raised 2 children here, and I have valued the assistance of our community that it has provided in their upbringing through our excellent schools and community programs. I understand that when some people run for council, they have some bold aspirations for making changes. I'd consider myself an adoring fan of our community, and I'd like to help keep us on that path that we're on and help drive us to the next level. I believe in having strong public safety, and that city leadership is critical to keeping this a priority. I also believe in investing in public works and city's infrastructure and roads. I am also a strong proponent of having strong parks and rec program. As a council member, I would work closely with our neighbors to understand their needs and help represent their interests as we embark working together to help our city and reach the next level. Thank you. Thank you.
Before we go, I do want to apologize ahead of time, but I'll have to cut you off right at the timer, so just to be fair to everyone.
Sure.
Okay, our next candidate, Adam Centoyo, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Good evening, Mayor and our members of City Council. like I said, my name is Adam Santoyo. I'm a fairly recent resident, been here for about 4 years now. But in that short time, family and I have been shown the most hospitality and compassion. Well, that was kind of the reputation that preceded the city and what drew us to living here and choosing this as our home. But I would like to keep that precedence by serving as a fair-minded and compassionate member of this council. In my professional career, I've had that unique opportunity to interact with members from all walks of life, both domestically and internationally. Those experiences have afforded me the ability to work together with like-minded individuals and those that I may have not really totally agreed with. But we always did find some compromise and work through those issues. For the past 3 years, I have served as a member of the city's advisory board, airport advisory board. During that time, I was a contributing member of the proposed airport business plan. When I was asked to provide my input as a board member and a member of the aircraft community for that study, which was conducted by Lochner, kind of as a bonus of that study, it exposed me to some of the thoughts of our residents and how they kind of viewed our airport. With that kind of outside perspective, it's something that I brought with me to the board and use that in our dealings there. Recently, I've taken up a task as being my post Student Veterans of America liaison with the VFW. So within that role, I've supported veterans and their enrollment within the Johnson Community College system. So what I would bring to this board is the ability to work together across different perspectives to find the common ground.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Next candidate is Jennifer Smith.
Standing here so I can see everybody. Good evening, and thank you, members of the council, for this opportunity to openly interview for the vacancy position. My name is Jennifer Smith. I was born in Gardner, Kansas in 1969. Not a lot of us lifers are still around, but I'm very proud to be from Gardner, born in Gardner, go to school in Gardner. My children, of course, went to school in Gardner. And like I said, I have 2 adult children with autism, and I'm their caregiver. My degree was in hospitality management, so my focus was always in hotel restaurant management and tourism. My focus changed when both of my children were diagnosed with autism for the disability community. So I've been actively involved in that, and over the years you all have seen me in different parts of advocating for our community. I would consider myself a lifer to Gardner, and over the past decades have been involved in our community, volunteering in one capacity or another. Most recently serving on the Gardner Chamber Board and currently on the Public Works ADA Committee. I was an integral part of forming the Gardner Bowl Special Olympics. Jason can attest to the lots of work that we did together, and have served regionally and nationally in volunteer positions in the autism and disability community. I'm here tonight as a citizen that cares for our community and to take the next step in my volunteerism.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Our next candidate is Mark Wien. I apologize.
All right. Good evening, and thank you, Mayor, and the members of the City Council for this opportunity. I moved to Gardner in May of 2015 with my wife and 3 children, 2 of which are still at Gardner Edgerton High School, and have been a resident of the state of Kansas since 1995. When I came down here to go to school, got my engineering degree at KU, and then went on to get my MBA and worked down in Wichita for a number of years. The last 13 years, I've been a program manager and the main customer interface for the aviation industry, or the aviation group that we have, being the main point of contact for that largest customer, and also our largest fleet customer at Garmin, where I work today. Before that, I was a program manager and worked on the government business side working on government contracts, and seeing the differences between how the government customer works versus how industry works, and seeing how all of that can be worked together. I look forward to the opportunity to serve this city in the short time that I've been here, not as long as others, to really see how much I love this city and to see it grow and to be an exciting part of the larger Kansas City area. So thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks, Mark. Okay, and our final candidate this evening, Luke Willis.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Luke Willis. I lived in Gardner for 2 years, so I believe I'm the junior member of this group, but I love Gardner just as much as they do, I hope. I currently sell commercial and personal lines insurance in the RV space. So I sell RV insurance to consumers and then sell insurance to dealerships, like the Ford. We're trying to win them one. But selling insurance is very cut and dry. The premium is what it is, the benefits are what it is. But there are so many soft skills that you have to negotiate and really convey some bad news to clients, especially when the premium's very high or they've been declined or they can't get insurance anywhere else besides some pretty bad markets. And so the skills that I've learned, especially those soft skills, will be a benefit if I'm appointed to the City Council. Not everyone's going to agree with our decisions or the council's decisions. That's just life. But we'll conveying our rationale and being firm is quite important, and I look forward to learning more about the council in that way. I do have a Bachelor of Science in Agricultural Economics and a MBA from Emporia State, which I'm glad to have a fellow MBA on the panel. I've learned a lot of how to analyze complex situations, par any emotion or bias, which is a big thing in economics, where you don't want to put too much emotion into saying, well, what should we do if the dollars and cents make sense? As preparation for the position, I stay up to date with the local issues. I think the big one now is the valuation of...
Mr. Willis, I apologize, your time's up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so per our updated policy, we will start with candidate questions, and I believe we'll ask, are we wanting to ask questions after each question from council, or do we want to save that to the end? Or
I think that if we have questions, it would probably be wait until the end. Okay, so if we have clarifying questions or something in addition. The thing is, we probably want to have everybody ask the same questions for the first 3 minutes, because that's what's written down here.
Okay. Sound good? All right. Okay, so we will start with Alexander Noakes. And again, we will ask everyone this first question. The question is, what are the 3 biggest issues facing the city in the next 3 years, and what steps need to be taken to address them?
So when I thought about this question, the 3 that came to mind were infrastructure to handle growth. I know a lot of these 2 are in process continually, but just looking at the traffic pain points, intersections, we have a lot of phase 1 projects going on, especially like Gardner Road, for example. That's out by where I live with the new Quick Trip. That totally made everything amazing out there. So I know that there's a lot more development like that going on, and really it's looking at, what's growing, who's working out here, and trying to alleviate some of those pain points. The next one is housing. Continue to attract people to come live in Gardner. We have great schools, community events, a good reputation. We want people to move here and just have different opportunities for people. kind of in the housing ladder, what I call it. Not everybody wants to own a home. I know there's some generations that say, I will never own a home. They don't want to mow, they don't want the expense. And I see some of the developments at Symphony Farms, Prairie Chase, for homes. And then they talked about duplexes today, which was really interesting too. So I think some of those things will attract more people to Gardner. Attracting businesses is really important. Business friendly, providing incentives if necessary. I know we have a strong chamber that supports businesses. When we had our business in Gardner, they were great. And continually looking at the balance of businesses to population. For example, right now we have a lot of food trucks in town, and that just shows that we have a lot of demand for food. There's huge lines at like the Japanese trucks now every night. And so, just looking at some of those things and trying to get people to come out here and open businesses for our growing population.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Adam Santoyo. Again, I'll ask the question. What are the 3 biggest issues facing the city in the next 3 years, and what steps need to be taken to address them?
The 3 that I identified were, one is balancing responsible growth while keeping our small town charm that did attract a lot of us to here or kept us here. So that balance includes, because I know we are a pretty fast growing community, but something that we still need to balance is the kind of wanting to respect those wishes, those residents who don't want to keep, prefer a more rural setting with growing our community and attracting kind of more businesses that we have. Another thing I identified was the traffic congestion, little kind of personal thing that affects me kind of every day is when I drop off my kids. My daughter goes to Grand Star Elementary, then I have to drop my son off at daycare. So just in the 4 years that I've been living here, I've noticed that on Center and Grand Avenue, have a little bit of trouble in the mornings going southbound onto that road. So traffic congestion is going to be something that is one of the issues right now that I do see we're all kind of facing around here and all over town as well. And then the third that I've identified was housing availability, finding that right balance between homes and apartments / condominiums, trying to attract those residents who do want to come to Gardner and live here and have a great life balance here as well. That's all I got for right now. Thank you.
Adam. Thank you. Jennifer Smith. What are the 3 biggest issues facing the city in the next 3 years, and what steps need to be taken to address them?
Limiting this to 2 minutes for a lot of us is kind of hard. So my first, and when you look at this, you look at who our community serves for these priorities. And of course, I'm going to bring up the more inclusive community. This means involving key stakeholders in the process of our Parks and Rec, which we are already establishing and doing. Are we having events that all citizens can participate in, no matter the disability? Are we serving our youth, adult, and senior populations? We have a very aging community. Yeah, I'm over 50, but we still are having more. We need to look at also our seniors that are 70 and 80. Are we making sure that we have the quality of life for them as well? Are we including someone with a disability when we are establishing our new subdivisions? Will the sidewalks be accessible? Of course, many of that follows because of ADA laws. Do our departments have training for mental health and disabilities? And I know that Chief Belcher does a great job with that as well. And making sure that we are established for emergency preparedness to handle a disaster and where to house our loved ones, such as the elderly and those with disabilities. These things all can be done with training and stakeholder involvement. Second is infrastructure. I think we all can agree that infrastructure is deeply important to all of us, especially being a person that was born here and at 2,000 people to now have 22,000 plus people. We have some folks that come back and are like blown away with the growth, but making sure that we do have that growth and we are prepared for the growth, which making sure that we have competitive and retention employee packages for our staff to be able to fill those jobs where we need them, making sure that we are budgeting for equipment, resources, and tools to handle the growth. And
Ms.
third
Smith,
is
I'm sorry.
quality of
Time.
life. Okay, see, I told you. So,
It is hard.
It goes fast. It
Now you're just talking fast.
does. Mark Wien? And again, the question, what are the 3 biggest issues facing the city in the next 3 years? And what steps need to be taken to address them?
The first one that I continue to see is the strain that the intermodal has put on our infrastructure throughout the city. Semi-traffic, increased traffic throughout the city. It just needs to be understood that the intermodal and even the expansion of other businesses is going to continue to cause us to do other things inside the city, change traffic flows, increase road sizes, and maybe move some of that semi-traffic outside the city and have it come in through a different route. Secondly, we're seeing an opportunity with the warehouses that are popping up around up in Olathe and down here. Garmin announced that they were hiring another 300 individuals and they're going to continue to expand. And then the Panasonic plant that's going in over in DeSoto, those families and those folks who are going to be hired there are going to have some place to go. And we want them to come here, or at least have an opportunity to come here. So that means that housing needs to be available and affordable for that wide range of families that are going to be moving here to Gardner and enjoy this beautiful city. And then finally, just uncontrolled growth. We want to be aware that growth for growth's sake in the city is not maybe the best idea. We want to make sure that it's the right fit for this city, for the folks in the city, and understand if it's going to expand and make life better throughout the city here in Gardner. Thank you.
Thank you. Luke Willis? Luke, what are the 3 biggest issues facing the city in the next 3 years, and what steps need to be taken to address them?
The first one identified was keeping up with the growth. We have to increase the city services proportional to not only the population growth, but the size growth of the physical city. That entails hiring the best and the brightest city employees, police officers, road workers, tree trimmers, will all be necessary to keep up with the growth we've seen. More importantly, under that thing is understand the needs of the city. I think a survey of the citizens, especially new citizens to the east and to the south, would help us understand that. Secondly, back in 2008 when the Great Recession happened, municipal governments were not doing very well due to the decreased tax base, lower spending. So I think that's a major issue for the city going forward. We have to practice strong fiscal responsibility, and unfortunately, there's not really a solution. We can't really change the economy. So just weathering the storm and practicing strong financial management, all while increasing the tax base currently where we're growing. And thirdly, the competing interests of the city. I think we're all excited about the new Panda Express that's going in. As I think we're painfully aware, warehouses, intermodal, more corporate type developments might be a sticking point for some Gardner citizens who enjoy the rural, the family style that we've kind of grown in Gardner. So we have to keep Gardner very business friendly, so we have jobs and we have money to take home at night, but keeping the family kind of environment.
Thank you.
Thanks, Luke.
And Mr. David Arnold. Again, what are the 3 biggest issues facing the city in the next 3 years, and what steps need to be taken to address them?
So the three that I kind of like to touch base on, kind of all tie into each other, I think. So the first issue I think would be being able to address the issue of staff salaries. Low staff salaries contribute to high turnover rates, meaning that we lose police officers, electrical linemen, other city employees. You know, and it may not be such an issue of pay, like, hey, we need to raise pay. It could be benefits that are being offered or something, but we want that retention. What I happen to see a lot of, especially like in the neighborhood, is we see a lot of new faces in patrol cars. And so what that tells me is maybe we've got turnover of going to different departments, maybe exploring different possibilities. And so the question would be is, what is our retention plan in the city? What can we do to hold on to the people that we're investing in? That kind of ties into, as we continue to grow, I think that new developments are going to be an issue that we face. Now it does sound like we've got some coming in, which is great. It sounds like we have a lot of commercial and a lot of retail that's trying to come as well, but we need to remember that we need a lot of residential to come in as well. Sorry, I'm losing my place here. So I don't know exactly what the issues are that would cause, you know, certain developers, certain builders to not come into the city, but I think it would be something worth exploring as to why do we have a lot of builders in the Johnson County area not coming to Gardner when they're all around us. The third issue definitely ties into that is going to be...
Sorry, Mr. Arnold, time's up.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. Okay, the next question, the identify, sorry, oh, we didn't decide to ask. We do. We do. Okay. All right, so we will start with Adam Santoyo.
Point of order on the quorum. Okay, that was my question, because, well, even if that were the case, since we're a four-person council right now, I believe that the governing body rules of procedure dictates a quorum is 3.
Either way, we're good.
We're good. We're good. Okay.
Yeah.
Never mind us.
Yes. Mr. Santoya, the question number 2, identify 3 priorities of the city.
Something that I did allude to in my other question was keeping the steady growth. That's going to be important just as a priority for the city. Reason being is if we're attracting business, tourism, and downtown revitalization, that's going to attract residents to our city here, and especially with my fellow candidate did allude to, Garmin is a very big employee around here, along with the proposed Panasonic plant, and also the intermodal. That's something that we want to attract businesses, residents to the city here. So that's going to be a high priority for continuing our growth here as well. Also, the kind of what a lot of people already did say is infrastructure to support those residents and those people coming to our city here as well. Tourism, I think, is something that we don't have a lot here as well, and that's something that we can look into and try to find how do we attract tourism, which does include tax dollars spending money here within our city. So, excuse me, that's something that I would see as a priority here. A lot of other cities have certain attractions that attract those types of people to come here and for those types of money as well.
Thank you. Identify 3 priorities of the city.
One is emergency preparedness. Are our citizens prepared for a disaster? We have 2 airports, and we recently did have a small plane go down, which everyone did a fabulous job in taking care of that. We have daily train traffic with an increase, and then we have the intermodal that on any given day, we could have a plane crash, a train derailment, and an explosion at the intermodal. Sorry to be a Debbie Downer on that, but we have to look at those preparedness for our community. I know our emergency response teams are very prepared for many of that, but are our citizens prepared for that? I know we've had training in the past. I'd really love for us to be able to bring that in again and really make sure our community is prepared for all of these issues. Another one, of course, is business growth. Are we being good stewards of our current businesses and inviting potential business growth, taking time out to thank our business owners, of course, with the chamber, that's very hand in hand, listening to them as well as opportunities for growth and expansion, tracking events such as tournaments for our tourism tax dollars, looking at grants to help business owners as well as opportunities for helping fix sidewalks. This also can be a part of the quality of life where we find grants to help fix crumbling sidewalks. I'm going to throw back in the quality of life with affordable housing, welcoming our community. This means, to me, our community helps growing. We look at our front porch. Our front porch are our entrances to our city. Are we making sure that they're keeping our streets clean, our sidewalks as well? Are we holding businesses and homeowners accountable? One of the things that I've mentioned over the years is also the trash. With growth, there comes trash.
Smith,
And
I apologize. It's time.
Okay.
Sorry. Thanks, Jennifer.
Thank you.
I go for 3 minutes.
I know, maybe, I think that should be new.
Can't change the process.
Oh.
Duly noted.
Mark Wayne. Mark, identify 3 priorities of the city.
The first one, from what I understand, is high-speed internet. We have one choice here in Gardner and one sort of choice. And as we all saw during the pandemic, people started working from home, and people are going to continue to work from home, and they need a reliable internet and high-speed internet at that to be able to continue to do their job and be someplace that they want to live and work here in Gardner. Secondly, we have plenty of empty storefronts. The CenturyLink building is still empty. You can see across the street here, we have empty storefronts that have been there for a while. We need to fill those places. We need to fill them with family-owned local businesses that want to be here in Gardner. We're going to see other businesses leave here in downtown that I think will be important for us to put more small businesses in there. And then we need to continue to upgrade our roads, like I said, with the intermodal and the other infrastructure that we need. We need to focus on and having nice schools and parks where kids can play and we can get outside, because that's important. Expand the greenway, and then continue to bring in talent to the city, to serve the city, to work for the city. We need the best and the brightest to be here to continue to allow this city to grow. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Luke Willis. Luke, identify 3 priorities of the city.
The first one is improving infrastructure. I won't touch on this too much. Water, sewer, gas, electrical, fire, police, and ambulance response. It sets us apart from other municipalities. I think it's can attract a lot of great people to live in the city and businesses as well. Secondly, I think we enjoy a very relatively low crime rate compared to even Olathe, which is 10 minutes up the road. But I think that should be a priority for the city because it will increase the tax base while helping new residents move here, new businesses. But it's a multifaceted approach. It's not easy. It's mental health, it's law enforcement, criminal justice, it's education. So I think that's something the city should ponder. It's obviously not an instant fix. Lastly, I think a little more light is providing the fun city services to the residents. The 4th of July event, fantastic event. We saw the fireworks from our house. They're beautiful. I think that really enriches our community. It attracts new residents, new businesses, because it does create that kind of family environment that Gardner is trying to strike between obviously business and kind of the family environment. Some of the barbecue competition, the beer, wine, and spirits festival that's held at the new park. These are just great events, and I think that that should be a priority for the city. Thank you.
Thank you. David Arnold? David, identify 3 priorities of the city.
So the first 2 I've already spoke about, staff pay, incentives, in an attempt to help retain the employees that we're currently investing in. Community growth, which is going to be through your residential. The last thing that I would mention is something that I didn't have time to touch on there in the last bit, but as far as infrastructure goes, and I know it's been touched on repeatedly here, but it is one thing that I feel as we continue to grow and as we continue to develop, not only do we want to pay attention to the infrastructure around those new developments, we can't forget that we've already got current infrastructure that is in dire need of some help. I have mornings where I live 5 minutes from the highway and it takes me 20 minutes to get to the highway. It's stuff like that that maybe we should pay attention to and explore options. We have a lot of choke points, so we need to figure that out, I think. Those are really the only 3. I've got more if you want to hear more, but those are the 3 that come to mind, so that's all I got for you.
Thank you. And Alexander Noakes.
Come over this way. Are you going to ask the question? Or
Oh,
do
I'm
I
sorry.
just go?
I apologize.
I didn't know if I was supposed to start.
No, I apologize. Identify 3 priorities of the city.
Okay, so the 3 priorities for me were downtown development. I know that there were plans a few years ago that Gardner come up with. The most successful cities have a central location for the community to gather, eat, shop, and have fun. If you look around Johnson County, downtown Olathe, Lenexa City Center, the Iron District in North Kansas City, all those places, downtown Overland Park, there's always a focal point, a library, a park, something, and then everybody walks around, and it's a really great feeling. And I really feel that a strong downtown keeps that small town feel that people talk about here. Safety. Gardner is a safe community. People come here because it's quiet and you feel comfortable. I want to make sure that funding for public safety is at the forefront of the city. As the city continues to grow, my family went on vacation this summer, and we called the Gardner Police Department, and they had a program where they come and watch your house, and they come to your house every day and look around and everything, and so we felt really, really comfortable, and so I think it'd be great. A lot of people don't even know that, and I didn't know that either, and I think I saw it online somewhere, and I was like, ooh, let's do that, and it just made you feel good, right? You're not there for a couple weeks, and you feel comfortable. Sense of community and inclusion. As the city grows, it's important to provide events and services that will provide residents with a sense of community. I think some people have already mentioned we have citywide garage sale, 4th of July, farmers market, barbecue competition, food truck days, concerts. They had a float and movie day at the pool evening, Christmas in the park. I think a good example is that when the fair was canceled, everybody was upset with the construction, because it was something that they looked forward to every year. It was like the close of the summer. But I think it's important to keep those events and keep doing more of those.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Question number 3 with a 2-minute time.
All right, ready?
Jennifer, where do you see the city in 5 to 10 years?
Well, I'm hoping,
time frame that the second Gardner exit, the bridge, and that structure will be completed safely. We will have semi-traffic going the way they're supposed to be going. I also feel that I'd like to see another full-service hotel with restaurant amenities. Of course, have that background of hotel, restaurant, and tourism background. We do have a great opportunity to capture with the events that our Park and Rec are doing, with the wineries around town, with what's happening downtown. We do have the opportunity to really capture the tourism and transient guest tax. Of course, the inclusive playground, which I'm hoping in the next year or two will be making its way to the forefront. Also, the plans for a community center. I know that was in the master plan in Park for many years, and hopefully within the next 10 years, that will be in the plan as well as our downtown area that we've been going over that plan that you all have started, and hopefully that will rev back up and we'll be able to make that work. I have 30 seconds to it. So,
You can always go back to the previous questions.
I know,
if you
well, I
want.
kind of did that a little bit. So, but that's our hopes, particularly with that tourism background I have. I know we have the capability to do this. So, thank you.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Mark Wien? Mark, where do you see the city in 5 to 10 years?
Will be great. Drones. I know the police department recently purchased a drone, which pretty amazing technology. Technology for stoplights, AI for traffic control is the future of the city is in technology. But on a darker note, I believe that political abrasions from neighboring municipalities such as DeSoto, Edgerton, Spring Hill, and Olathe will continue to push Gardner into a place maybe it does not want to be in terms of clearly the warehouses moving towards Gardner, which is a major concern for, I believe, the council and the citizens. But all that being said, There's a bright future ahead for Gardner. I think it's a great base, and I think people really, really enjoy living here, which not always the case for some cities. So I'm excited for Gardner. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Luke.
David Arnold? David, where do you see the city in 5 to 10 years?
Well, so the city's gonna grow one way or the other. All right, a lot of people talk about the small town or small town feel. Eventually, Gardner's gonna get to that place where that's a feeling of the past. We're going to expand, so the question is going to be, how are we going to expand? What's important to the city of Gardner? I think that with proper planning, with the proper partnerships, the city can move forward and ensure that the correct neighborhoods, the correct commercial accessories, retail options are going to be there to be able to provide for a good expansion. You know, of course, with that expansion, I also see that, you know, you're gonna have increasing needs in different city departments. You know, law enforcement would have to increase as well, because if you expand, you'll need that. So I think that over the course of the next 5 to 10 years, I think it's probably most important to get an idea of how do we want to grow and do everything that we can to ensure that we are following that path that's going to please for everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, David. Alexander Notes?
Is this the closing?
No, this is question number 3.
Oh, yes.
Yep,
I'm
so,
sorry.
that's all right. So, Alexander, where do you see the city in 5 to 10 years?
So Gardner's growing and will continue to do so. I hope to see a vibrant community with a strong downtown with amenities and a variety of housing options for people moving here, as well as current residents who want to move around to a different situation. Employment opportunities, you know, everybody's mentioned the Panasonic plant. These cities around us, you know, have companies coming into their areas, and it will provide jobs for our community as well because it's close. They're not far away. And I think it's important just to continue to monitor the population, the school growth, the housing needs, and use that data to establish what we want the city to look like. I know I've heard people say, well, we don't want to be in Olathe, we don't want to be Split, or we don't want to be a whatever city, pick one, right? We don't have to be, right? We can look at the data, we can be what we want it to be for our community, what works for us. And I think that's possible, and just listening to the planning committees and some of the things that are planned that I didn't even know about. It's exciting, and so I think that in the next 5 to 10 years, Gardner's going to be amazing, even more amazing than it is today, and I'm really excited about it.
Thanks, Thomas. Adam Santoya? Adam, where do you see the city in 5 to 10 years?
Kind of looked at some numbers from our 2020 census that came up on our population, where we were from 2010 to 2020. So we've grown exponentially. We're right at that 23,000 mark, where we're right on the verge of becoming a first-class city, where I'm not aware of everything that it entails, but I know there's some things that are as far as the city has to do to accommodate that. But we are growing, so we do have one of the highest growth rates in the county and top 5 in the state, which I think is pretty amazing, but mostly due to that urban sprawl and value of housing here that Gardner does provide. That's not really seen in Johnson County. So I do see more residents coming to the city. I do see that, along with business growth coming into our city here. And I do see us keeping that small town feel, but we are growing, and we are going to be being that little bit bigger town. Some people may not appreciate it or not, but it is kind of the numbers are kind of showing and trending towards that way. I do see our town still keeping that small town feel, that sense of community. something that did, when I first got here, was something that kind of blew me away, and something that I am going to always remember. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Adam. Okay. Do we want to have those additional questions?
Yeah, I think so. I think now would be the appropriate time. If there are a few questions.
Yes.
And did you want to ask these again? Did you want to ask the same question to everyone?
Yes, I'm going to ask the same question to everyone, because I want everyone to have the opportunity to answer this question.
Okay. So, yeah,
Yeah.
we'll start with Mark Wheat.
We're going to start with Mark, yes.
Diane first.
Okay. Mr. Wien, thank you for putting your hat in the ring on this. I know it's probably a little stressful too on top of everything else, but I do appreciate your time. I would like you to please respond to this following statement, okay? I would consider mill levy increases or other tax increases such as sales or transient guest tax increases to provide services and amenities to our residents and to improve staff pay and incentives to keep our city's talent base. Please let me know if you agree or disagree with that statement and why or why not.
Can you just state it one more time?
Yes. I would consider mill levy increases or property tax, all right, or other tax increases such as sales or transient guest taxes to provide services and amenities to our residents and to improve staff pay and incentives to keep our city's talent base.
I think that we should consider everything to keep our talent base and to improve our city, which would potentially include property tax increases or any other sales tax increases to be able to do that. And I think that it should be considered at the point of time which it's presented.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
We- Do them all? I only have one.
I have none. I just wanted to make sure that.
I got one.
Okay.
How will you balance the wants of 25,000 people with the needs?
You have to listen to what, and I think that I was going to put that in my closing statement, is that you have to listen to what your neighbors have to say, and what are they thinking, and what do you feel like you can do. I would say that as a program manager, as a customer, the voice of the customer internal to my company, and then the face of my company to my customer, I have to balance that line of what's good for the customer, what's good for the company. It's kind of what's good for the city as a whole, and what's good for, and what can we ask of our citizens to be able to do what's best for the city. I think that all this takes time and thought, and why we shouldn't jump into doing it as quickly as possible just to say we did it, that kind of thing. I won't leave unless there's. Does anybody else have another question?
We put you through the ringer, asked lots of questions, et cetera. What one thing that we haven't asked, or what one ability or attribute that you possess that would make you good for the open city council seat?
I can't speak for the rest of the candidates that are here. I feel like, and maybe this goes into, I'm an engineer, which means I'm pragmatic. I tend to not jump to conclusions. I tend to take time and come to a thoughtful conclusion to all of the advice I can, and take my time. And then finally, I don't have to have the best idea. I sometimes don't have the best idea, but I know when I've heard it. And I think that's important.
Thank you.
Last chance.
You two kind of took my question.
Oh,
essentially.
oops.
In a different way. That's fine. So I don't have any further questions. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
And so we will ask these three questions in order again, starting with Luke Willis. Yeah.
They've heard it.
Mill levies, taxes. Yeah.
Okay.
Write it down. See if they
I know, right?
All right. All right. You want to ask yours first?
No, let's go same order.
Same order? Okay. Okay, so I'd like you to respond to this statement, okay? I would consider mill levy increases, those are property tax increases, or other tax increases such as sales or transient guest taxes to provide services and amenities for our residents and to improve staff pay and incentives to keep our city's talent base. Could you please respond? Let me know whether you agree or disagree and why or why not.
I would agree. I recently got our estimate of property taxes, which was, I guess, some legislative action. And I saw the line item for Gardner, and I said, that's a reasonable amount of money to pay for police, roads, the parks are well kept, and if we want to have that continue, the name of the game is the best and the brightest. So I would definitely would consider a increase in taxes to keep our awesome services.
All right, thank you. Mark?
How will you balance the wants of 25,000 people with the needs?
It's definitely the most challenging question of the three. Going back to my one of my comments about having a survey for the city, I think it's difficult to kind of generalize 25,000 people because there's different socioeconomic, there's different cultures, there's different family types in the city, and so understanding their needs, which I would say are fairly consistent among all of us. We want good roads, we want good schools, we want to be safe, and the wants are much different than, you know, if I live north of the high school, maybe I really want a nice cornfield, but if I live in the middle, I want Grindhouse to be bigger. So definitely understanding with a survey would be my response to that.
Okay, so my question is, what have you not mentioned in your questions or your answers, et cetera, that would make you the best ideal candidate for this open seat?
Sure. Generally at work, we have a very collaborative environment. So I really enjoy that, appreciate that, and a part of that collaborative environment, and that kind of would be helpful for the council. For an example, if I have time, our boss, who's the principal, is technically the agent of record for all of our policies we write. He doesn't know a thing about insurance. Doesn't know, but he knows business. So you ask him a question and he can think through it in a business fashion, which is very helpful. So I think that kind of collaborative mindset is helpful for me. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
David Arnold.
All right, Mr. Arnold, how you doing? Being through the ringer. If you could just respond to the statement, and I will try to shorten it up a little bit. I would consider mill levy increases or other types of taxes, such as sales tax or hotel taxes, to provide services and amenities to our residents and to improve staff pay and incentives to keep our best and brightest.
I would explore every other option available to me before I explored additional taxes. Not that I would just strictly say no. I can't wake up without being taxed. I know a lot of people feel the same way. I would explore every option available before I considered a tax.
Okay, thank you. Mark?
How will you balance the wants of 25,000 people with the needs?
Depends on what the wants and what the needs are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, do you want to park your car in your front yard? I mean, I think that you're going to have a lot of different opinions no matter how you go about that. The question is what is a realistic want and what is a realistic need? I really think that the only way to figure that out is to pay attention to what the people have to say and what they want versus what they need.
Okay, David, what one thing that you haven't mentioned would make you the best candidate for this open seat?
Well, for the last year, I've been in a company, let me kind of backtrack there. For the last 5 years prior to that, I worked with a civil engineering company. So a lot of planning, residential plot planning, commercial plot planning. So I understand the whole kind of thing that's going on there. Ended up leaving there. I now work at a company who takes those engineered plans, converts them into models, sends them out to do the dirt work and to actually do the development. So I've kind of got a rounded understanding of the whole process instead of just the one process. And I believe that that could be an asset to, as issues come up with helping the city grow and being able to kind of look at these things and understand what the plans are and what I'm looking at.
Thank you, David. Alex, any notes?
Yes, yes. Okay, so you've heard this now
Yeah,
a few
yeah,
times.
yeah.
So I'm going to say it like I've said it everywhere else, but I would consider mill levy increases or other types of tax increases such as sales of transient guest taxes to provide service and amenities to our residents and to improve staff pay and incentives to keep our city's talent base. Do you agree with that statement or disagree, and why or why not?
Well, I have not served on a governing body, and I do not have experience with mill levies or taxes or increasing taxes for those purposes. So without any research at all, I mean, my first thought would be, I would want to do everything I could to keep, do what we can to keep talent and to, raise wages that we need or to create amenities for our residents. I just don't know. I mean, it's so hard to, I don't know what the numbers are, I don't know what the needs are. I don't know what are we looking for, what would change. And so I know I'm kind of in the middle there, but, I would definitely want to look at options and figure out what are the best options for this. And maybe it is, increasing those. Maybe it is increasing those taxes, but I like to see, I like to see the impact in the numbers.
That's fair.
So I don't know if that.
How will you balance the wants of 25,000 people with the needs?
So that is difficult, like everybody has said, right? So I love like the farmer's market, but my neighbor next door never goes to the farmer's market, right? So I want a farmer's market. They don't care about it. So I think sometimes a need bubbles up. Just a quick example, when my kids were in elementary school, Moonlight Elementary, Grand Star wasn't built yet. They had trailers in the playground. And so my son had to go to school in the trailer every morning. That's where they had their 3rd grade class, and they have to walk back and forth because the school was so full. All the elementary schools were just, so that was so obvious, right? That is a need. We have to do something. And that isn't always the case. So sometimes I think we just are gonna have to look at where we are, what's happening, what are the projects, what phases are we in? Does one phase cause something else to happen? And just kind of look at that stuff and figure out what we need.
Okay, what's one thing that you haven't mentioned during this interview process that would make you be the ideal?
So if for anyone that knows me, I like to research, I like to learn all the time, even if I've been doing something for years. I've lived in Gardner for 20 years. I'm constantly looking at what's going on. I don't even know everything that's going on, but I'm always looking and trying to see what's happening. Even in my own business right now, I'm always implementing new technologies, learning about new things, trying to stretch myself to incorporate other things that I may not know about, so that I can do a better job.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, Adam. Trying to steal his minutes.
Yeah.
Hello, Adam.
Hello.
If you could respond to the following statement. I would consider mill levy increases or other tax increases such as sales or transient guest, which is hotel tax, to provide services and amenities to our residents and to improve staff pay and incentives to keep our city's talent base. Do you agree with that statement or disagree, and why or why not?
First, I will look and try to see if there's any where we could be more efficient with our current budget that we do work with. I am not opposed to increasing taxes to provide for those services, but it's kind of almost a last resort. I know a lot of us are dealing with inflation right now, and the dollar is a little bit harder, so we got to look at and see what the impact that's going to be for our residents as well. Like a lot of people, I did look at our tax increases that came for I own a home, so I did look at that, and part of the things I was trying to research and look into this as well, because it's something I'm not really too all familiar with, but it is something that does affect us, so I do want to research that. I've looked into this and try to see where my money's going with, and things that I've noticed being a resident here. I'm a Southern California transplant, where I kind of felt where my taxes weren't going into services and needs that we're needing. I do feel that here within the state, and especially this county, and of course down to the city, that I do see improvements on the roads that are here. I do see the infrastructure that is being built around us as well. So I'm not totally opposed to it, but it's something that I would be looking as a last resort. So more so, I would look more into where we could be more efficient with our current budget.
Okay, great, thank you. How will you balance the wants of 25,000 people with the needs?
Kind of like a lot of people did say, everybody does come from different backgrounds, different perspectives, so we do need to see and look what their needs are. And try to see here. So everybody's needs are different. Everybody has different perspectives of stuff, so we do need to look at what that individual could need, and then also what is good for us and the city as a whole.
Okay, Adam, what unique attribute that you haven't mentioned so far that would make you the ideal candidate?
Well, I come from a maintenance background, aircraft maintenance, so my thought process is very mechanical. I am, with my current position right now, employer, I teach and instruct, so I am constantly working with engineers, different people, different backgrounds, people across the board. So it's something that I'm able to collaborate, and I do like to research a lot, so I'm constantly into manuals, I'm constantly into literature, trying to better myself, trying to better what I provide to my customers and things of that nature. Another thing that did mention is I was working overseas for a long while, so where that came is learning from different cultures and different backgrounds. So learning how to be more, kind of be a little bit more, how do I say, excuse me. So I've worked with the different cultures and stuff, so I've learned a lot from them, and I've learned how to deal with people that are different than myself. And with that kind of knowledge, I've used that to every my day life right now. So things that I've did my, sorry, kind of on the spot here too, but with that knowledge that I've learned, I've used in my dealings every day right now, whether it's with my work or individual people that I'm living with right now.
Thank you, Adam.
Thanks.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
And Jennifer Smith.
Hey, Jennifer.
Hello.
If you could respond to this statement. I would consider mill levy increases or other tax increases such as sales or transient gas taxes to provide services and amenities to our residents and to improve staff pay and incentives to keep our city's talent base. Do you agree or disagree with that statement, and why or why not?
That's a loaded question.
It's a long question too, so
As
yeah.
a homeowner that also received our Johnson County assessment, that our taxes are going up, and being from the
business world as well, in the hospitality management, the transient guest tax. Most of the time, the transient guest tax goes up. As also a business owner, for which I did not mention earlier, Betty's Pies and Cobblers, I have taxes on my product that I sell to customers as well. So Gardner's tax right now is competitive with areas. I don't really see a problem with it going up just a hair, but we really need to look at things. We are going to have some changes to our food taxes that's coming down the pipeline from the state. So we're going to have to look at, are we going to be losing or gaining, and where are we going to be getting the funding to, for our services that we have. Unfortunately, we do have to tax to make money to support. And with growth, there comes more taxes and more money.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Jennifer.
How will you balance the once in 25,000 keywords?
So, I'm a problem solver that many of you have realized over the years with the emailings. The emails that I've sent to you, there's a problem. I like to see how we can fix it and how we can work together. Like many of the applicants before that have said, great answers where we all have different needs and wants, and we also come from different backgrounds. So to prioritize one person's need over another, we really have to look at specifically what that need is and how, if it's particularly something where we have an aging loved one that really needs help with their yard or things like that, do we go ahead and send a codes letter to them and tax them to get it fixed, or do we know that, hey, we've got some volunteer programs that we could come in and help you with that? So really looking at what that need is and how we can either find it or just talk with them. I know over the years I have sent many emails about situations, and they've all been, it took 5 years to get accommodations for the Independence Day and the fireworks, but we did it. It may not happen overnight, but if you problem solve and work, it can happen.
Okay, so what attribute or quality that you haven't mentioned so far would make you an ideal candidate for the open seat?
Like I have said, that I'd like to help solve problems. I am my mother's child, where it was always making everyone feel welcome in our community, making everyone feel wanted, listening. Many times it's very hard for us to stop and listen. We're go, go, go. We need to stop, take a breath, and listen to what our community is looking at and how we can utilize our resources that we have here locally, at a state level, regionally, to help our community. I have many of those contacts. I have contacts that we've used in our ADA committee. So being able to branch out and look at what is needed and what we can do to help. I love my town, and recently losing my father, that was one reason why I could not be a part of the council, as I wanted to run at a different time. But now I'm dedicated to our community again, and I really want to be a part of the council. So thank you.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Okay, so that concludes the questions. We will finish then with a 1-minute closing statement. And I believe we're starting with Luke Willis. Oh, there we go.
Okay.
I believe my experience and knowledge will be an asset to the council. My master's degree in business administration, my bachelor's of science in agricultural economics. not that book learning is everything, but it's something. I believe that Gardner has a bright future ahead, and I'm personally excited not to only live in Gardner just to experience it, but also the opportunity to be a guide in its growth and development. The skills I've learned and developed, the course of being an insurance professional, the soft skills, the hard skills, negotiating, telling people bad news, finding my education would make me an asset. I would like to thank the council for the opportunity, and looking forward to see what you guys come out with this. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Luke. Thank you, Luke. David Arnold?
You want me to just get going? All right. So to close, I've been in the community for about 10 years. Yep. 10 years. Got a home here, got a small business here. Most importantly, the family's here. We intend on staying in Gardner. You know, really the lifestyle down here is great. It's not loud, it's calm, it's peaceful. We like it here. I do feel that I bring experience and professional connections to the table in regard to helping the community grow and recognizing any hurdles that may appear while growing. I feel that I'd be a valuable addition to the City Council. And with that, I thank you all for hearing me out. We'll talk to you after a bit.
All right, thank you, David. Thank you, David. Councilor Noakes?
All right, 1 minute. I have a lot of pride for the city of Gardner. Living here for the last 20 years has been nothing but positive for me and my family. We have a wonderful school district, strong sense of safety. I enjoy learning and staying informed about the city. I would love to be able to utilize my leadership and collaboration experiences, as well as leverage my ideas and communication skills to help move us forward. I look forward to engaging and listening to our community. I want the best for all of us. I am well-intended and want to keep us on the right track. I would be very proud to be part of the City Council. Thank you very much.
Mr. Adam Santoya?
First, I would like to thank you for this unique opportunity. Gardner is my home, so like everyone here, I want to see us thrive and be a better city. I come with no personal agenda, so as a council member, I'll be committed to listening to all the residents. I will assess both sides of every issue and draw my own conclusions based on that information presented. I'm gonna leave with a quote because I'm a quote person, but this is from an unknown author, and it states, volunteering is the ultimate exercise in democracy. You vote in elections once a year, but when you volunteer, you vote every day about the community you want to live in. Thank you.
Jennifer Smith?
I just want to thank you all again for this opportunity. You've had a lot of great candidates that have spoke. I feel that I am a great candidate for this situation because of my community spirit, the involvement that I am in the community, the connections that I have. I'm a lifer as well, and I am also a quote person. Many years ago when my children were diagnosed, the quote that was said was, if not me, then who? So if it's not me doing it, then who is doing it? And making sure that we have the best folks leading our community, and I feel that I would be one of the great candidates to do that. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Jennifer. And finally, Mark Wien.
I also would like to thank the committee and you, Mayor, for the opportunity to speak to you tonight and this opportunity. It's been an interesting procedure. I think it's great. And I was thinking about how I grew up in a city at the same size back in Nebraska where I grew up, but it didn't feel like Gardner. Gardner has a special feel to it. It's the same size, but it really has a special, it's got that small town feel, and it's special. It's home now for me and my family, and I want to be a part of making it the best that it can possibly be. So again, I thank you for the opportunity, and have a nice evening.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, well, that does conclude our procedure, and I want to thank everyone who came out. I mean, this is certainly not easy, getting up in front of everyone and answering questions off the cuff, and so thank you so much. I think we had really excellent candidates tonight.
Absolutely.
I know we'll have a difficult decision to make, and I appreciate your answers, and I always learn things from this and get ideas from this as well. So I think for us, it's a learning experience as well.
Yeah.
I would encourage, if you're not selected tonight, we do have continuous openings on boards, and, commissions, and other areas that you can get involved. And if it's not tonight, well then there's great ways to start that process, and the more you learn there, I think that's beneficial as well.
I would second everything you said. We put you through the ringer tonight. We understand that it's not easy to get up in front of a bunch of people and especially have to answer unscripted questions. So thank you again for putting up with us. Appreciate it.
Especially when they're the length of a paragraph.
Oh, stop.
Yes, we're gonna have to have a 2-minute timer for Steve's question.
Oh gosh, all right.
Okay. At this point, we will rank our candidates, and then we will, the city clerk will collect those and tally those, and they'll be verified by our city attorney. And we will narrow it down to the top 3 candidates.
Please put your names on here.
Yep.
Oh, good, I already did that. I'd have to
I feel like I'm in school.
Yeah.
You rank them. You don't rank them at 0. I start with machine language. Those are 0s and 1s. That's it. So, don't work too well.
One question is less than your time. I want to give you a cookie, but I realize how to do a cake. Are you want versus me?
My neighbor said I should bring pie.
Oh, yeah.
That's good.
We're not above bribery. No, just kidding. Strike that from the record. Lynn's like, oh my gosh, someone said that.
Luckily, my pen is dying.
Whoever is selected will be sworn in right afterwards, and then continue our meeting with this as well.
think we might end up like royalty issues there, yeah.
I have to raise a mill levy to pay for that.
Just take it out of my stipend. Hey. Yeah, we've got 'em. We've got 'em. Yep. You anticipated that we weren't gonna come up with one.
We got it every time.
Let's do an alphabetical order, I guess, be best.
Yeah, she had already.
Mm-hmm. We just have to fill in the names.
Hey, Ryan. Mayor, I have a question.
Lois. Do we have a tie for third? Uh-oh.
So just add a line?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we've added a fourth line. Okay, so ooh.
1 second here.
Alphabetical?
Yes,
Okay.
so there was a tie for third, so I will read them in alphabetical order. The top 4 candidates, David Arnold, Alexander Noakes, Jennifer Smith, and Mark Wien. So we will tally those 4.
Oh, read off four again, sorry.
David Arnold, Alexander Noakes, Jennifer Smith, and Mark Wien.
Yes, correct.
So the candidate with the lowest score was Mark Wien. So, Mark, you are,
Well, we have to have a motion.
you have to motion. Mark, you are a selection at this point. Okay, so do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion Baldwin, second Shute, that we appoint Mark Wien to the city council seat with a term expiring in December 2023. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
I didn't say aye, but aye.
Abstain? Congratulations, Mark.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you again. I appreciate
Yes,
everyone's
absolutely.
time.
Yes, it is. It's all, yep.
Nice to see it now.
Raise your right hand.
Oh, well.
I state your name.
I, Mark Wien,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States.
will, say it one more time,
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
And the Constitution of the State of Kansas.
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
And faithfully discharge the duties
and faithfully discharge the duties
as council member
as council member
for the city of Gardner, Kansas.
for the city of Gardner, Kansas.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I didn't know he was left-handed.
Hey, he's a lefty. He's in his right mind. Excellent. Yep. It's yours.
See?
Alrighty.
Right?
And so
Welcome,
now,
Mark.
and so now for your first test of your council, we're going to go into executive session.
He gets council updates.
Yeah, first
Oh,
with the
it's council updates. Yes,
so,
council updates. Yes, you're right.
Feel like I forgot you guys were all here. You've been so quiet on the sidelines here all meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll start with Utilities Director, Gons Garcia.
We began the commission of the new control system for gas turbine number 1. We're expecting to have the unit running by the end of the week of early next week. The contractor HPI is still doing the installation of unit number 2. The plan is to have it ready by the end of the month. So we will have both units, new controls, by the end of August.
Thank you, Gons. Parks and Rec Director, Jason.
I just want to thank staff on a good Gardner Glow last Friday. We had around 250 participants on the Greenway for that event. Other departments chipped in, very helpful. Thanks to PD and Fire District 1 for chipping in, but it was a really good turnout, good crowd. So, on to the next.
I took kids out there. We had fun. Appreciate it. And also, I think Grace Baptist Church was very helpful with that.
Yes, we had great volunteers for that event as well. So yes, thank you for bringing that up.
You bet. Mr. Dave Nopick.
We have a planning commission meeting next Monday night, so that'll be here at 7 p.m. We do have a couple of items there. The final development plan for University Park will be moving forward through that process. I also want to acknowledge that one of my staff members stayed throughout this whole meeting voluntarily, was not forced to be here, so he'll probably get a 4 on one of his items during his staff. I'm not sure. I'll hold out and see how it goes in the next couple of months. Other than that, I have nothing.
All right, thank you. Public Works, Calvin Headley.
A couple of project updates. US 56, we've cleared all of the current design hurdles that we've run into, and obviously weather's been pretty good, so we should see some forward progress on that. Currently not expecting it to overall impact the current plan to get all 4 of the lanes west of the Moonlight intersection done before shutting down for the fall. But again, that's going to depend on everything kind of running smoothly from here on out, so we'll keep pressing. The other one being the trail that's going in along 175th. We've run into a little bit of trouble with coordination with the gas company. They've got a gas line that pretty much runs along that entire sidewalk area, and so being very touchy around gas, obviously. But again, we're pressing forward on the contractor to get that completed as soon as possible.
And I know we don't know till we know on the other side, on the of 56. Is there less potential issues there, or with utilities? And I know it's a difficult.
Anytime you
thing to
put a
say.
bucket in the ground,
Yeah.
there's potential for running into something you don't know. However, we have been proactive with the designer to get over there, resurvey, recheck everything to make sure that we've caught everything we can possibly catch until the dirt gets moved.
Absolutely. Great, thank you.
And when do we think shutdown for the winter is?
The goal was to try to get it done around November-ish, and that's still the goal.
Good, thank you. Police chief.
We have nothing tonight.
City clerk.
Nothing for me.
Finance director.
Yeah, the draft of the budget is now available online. I'd encourage everybody to take a look. GFOA recently changed some of the criteria for the budget award, so we're in the process of implementing that. A lot of those changes already have occurred, so you'll see some differences in the budget. I'll also send out a notification to residents tomorrow to go and check out the budget book. We're also working on something new, which we're calling the budget and brief. More like a 10 to 14 page document, just a quick, easy to understand overview of the budget and the city in general, just for the residents.
That's great. Great, yeah. Deputy City Administrator.
Yes, at the July 5th, 2022 council meeting, the governing body requested that staff look into a Hometown Heroes program, allowing for the display of banners to honor local veterans. Our executive assistant, Jamie Tigers from Kelly, did extensive research on the program that will be utilized to form the basis of a policy to be presented at the Tuesday, September 6th council meeting, and will include items like application and display selection criteria, size and material guidelines, display timelines, and sponsorship guidelines. Prior to the presentation and finalization of the policy for your consideration, staff wished to obtain governing body consensus on one of the items to be included in the policy, as it will have a significant impact on the financial component of the program. There are currently 20 street poles along Main Street between Center and Sycamore that have mounting hardware and are utilized for displaying banners and holiday decorations throughout the year. There was some talk of expanding this area. Should the governing body wish to expand the display area to include the area between Sycamore and Moonlight, that's an additional 46 poles. And this would have additional costs that include the purchase of mounting hardware, as the poles are not currently equipped with said hardware, the purchase of seasonal banners and decorations for the poles, and the labor cost for each banner and decoration installation that occurs throughout the year. While details will become fully available in the proposed policies, staff would like to recommend the program initially be launched in the area between Center and Sycamore along Main Street, with expansion options available for future consideration depending on community response. So the question is this initial location along Main Street between Sycamore and Center acceptable to the council, with opportunities to expand the program in the future if warranted, for your initial consideration of the policy?
I think it's great to have it in that area. And if there's a lot of demand, then we can think about expanding it.
Yeah, I wouldn't expand it until we know the demand. I
Yeah.
would keep it in that first, 23 poles or whatever you said it was.
Yes, there's 20 poles along here, and then that would allow us to just do the correct financial impact for you for the policy presentation.
And we did get a sample. They look great.
Oh.
They're really nice.
Okay.
Can we include what costs will be for expansion, even if it's not part of the policy, or is that gonna be a lot of extra effort?
I can see what cost we can get for mounting hardware, but we do have additional banners and stuff that we put up throughout the year, and one of the big issues is that we would have to get additional of all those banners. But we can see if we can get those costs.
Okay.
Just so if there is a lot of feedback and a lot of people wanna do it, we are anticipating what those costs are.
Absolutely.
Yes, obviously, pause. But I would like to see them broken out between the hardware and those banners, because while I understand what you're saying about being contiguous across the entire downtown and 56, there's always the option that we don't put the other stuff on the other 46 posts. So
I agree.
Yeah, one with mounting hardware only, and then one with mounting hardware and extra banners.
Yes.
Okay, there you go.
do you agree? Why or why not?
I'm never gonna live that down, am
Is it
I?
a need or a
No.
want?
I have no opinion.
Okay. Good answer.
I need a beverage. All right, let's go.
All right, city attorney,
Nothing from me.
city administrator.
So a couple people mentioned fiber and connectivity in town, and we have had some additional interest above and beyond what we had about 6 months ago from a company that was in the area. And the mayor and I met with them, and they're exploring a grant to expand fiber to the home in an area of Gardner. So I think that's on the horizon. There's been a number of inquiries, so you can look forward to that.
You and I need to talk. I've been working on
Already
this
been
project for
listened to.
5 years, so.
Already been listened to.
Okay. Council updates. Councilmember Dean.
First off, welcome, Mr. Wien, to this lovely
Motley.
show we've got going on here.
Motley crew.
And also, Jason, I went to the Gardner Glow. I attempted to run with glow glasses, and it didn't work out well. So I took them off and walked the entire time, and I didn't get injured. It was a lot of fun. I liked the obstacles and the ways around them. We did the really late ones, so some of them were hard to see, and the glow had already worn off, but we had a lot of fun. Thank you so much.
Glad you didn't get hurt.
Yeah.
We were being warned every time, like, it's dark, don't run, it's dark. And I'm not trying.
Council Vice President.
Well, a couple of things. First of all, yes, welcome, Mr. Wien, to our motley assortment up here, and I'm sure you'll find your way around pretty quick. So I had a shout out to the chief from a resident in Conestoga that was very appreciative of the work that you all did in the disturbance that happened earlier this week. So I wanted to, or over the weekend. So I wanted to just give you some kudos that you guys handled it really, really well, and just wanted to give you that acknowledgement. So.
Anything further?
Nope. I'm gonna keep it short.
Council President.
I just want to thank all of the candidates. It's not an easy process, and getting up here and speaking can be very difficult. So I hope all of them that aren't already involved look to get involved, and it's great to have another Mark up here. So
Jeez.
We need to keep engineers on either.
yeah, and an engineer.
Yeah, numbers guys. And
everything's looking bright.
Yeah. Councilman Roberts.
I have no update or no questions, but thank you for asking.
All I want to say is thank you for the opportunity. I'm sure that I will be deer in the headlights for at least a little bit, but I will try to come up to speed as much as possible. I also I did not participate in the Glow Run, but I live right on the trail, and so really appreciate those type of activities that are on the trail. The only suggestion that I would have is you need to make one more pass through the trail after the event. There are little letters still out there, somebody's sunglasses, some batteries, stuff like that. Just an opportunity to keep that trail as pretty as we possibly can. So, but yeah, great. It was a great event. It was fun to watch the kids running around the curve. So that was good too.
Awesome, thank you. And I've got nothing further this evening. We do have an executive session. Should be a fairly short, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Do I have a motion to enter into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Motion Deaton, second Baldwin, that we recess into executive session for the preliminary discussion of the acquisition of real property pursuant to KSA 75-4319B6, beginning at 9:16 p.m., returning to regular session at 9:26 p.m. in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, abstained. Executive session. 26.
Wet blanket all the time.
Do I have a motion to return to regular session?
So moved.
Second. Motion Baldwin, second Shoot, return to regular session. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, abstain. We're back in regular session. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Let him have it.
Give it to him.
I don't even.
Motion Baldwin, and now I'm gonna
Give one
abstain.
shot. Second ween.
Second Ween.
Mark Square.
Yes, yes. Then we adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, abstain.